All right, Hefty here with 492W CPD number 3. We're talking about managing staff performance, and then we're going to look at different forms of compensation plans. Going to talk a little bit about digs and perks. So you can see here, we'll get into performance design, training, some alternatives to compensation, and then we'll just give you some examples of some great places to work, and then finish up with a brainstorming activity to help with your next project. All right, some key points from the textbook again. Steps of managing performance. While we're doing this is creating some job expectations. Use this with the hiring process. When we're managing job performance, we want to do some goal setting for the staff and provide feedback, obviously. You want to create incentives for compensation, and different forms of that they talked about was just we're all motivated by money, more money. Overtime pay, commissions, bonuses, benefits, perks, those type of things. And again, we'll look at individual perks and performance-based pay. Some health law ideas. Just look at how the health law of the Affordable Care Act used rewards or incentives to motivate people to get insurance. A good example with your small businesses, again, is a tax deduction for small businesses that provide benefits when they're not required to for businesses with under 50 full-time employees. Again, some ideas, look at ways with health law to manage your staff performance, and that means you need to develop a compensation program. Think of the guidelines that the law has, and then look at ways to create futuristic health plans for staff. You're going to need to do this eventually, so let's use some of the information and research we're getting from health law, what you can and can't do, and find ways to use that as a reward system. So what are they, and let's figure out how to use them. Again, just a reminder of Affordable Care Act. There is a tax break for benefits, business if it benefits are provided when you're under 50 full-time employees. And again, full-time means 30 hours or more, not what we think of as 40. Again, some keynotes here you can see. These are examples of different incentive type programs that are involved. Your goal is to go find others that are specific to your business. The way we're going to apply all of this information here is you're going to use this in your next project 4, which is your human resources development plan. So specifically here, you're going to have to address and design an internal training and orientation program for your staff. We'll look at some external training and development you'll have. You'll have to have some way to assess that with your evaluation, compensation plan, and then last, staff development programming. And that's what we're doing with these CPDs, or continuing education. That's what CE stands for. So your business's mission, when you're designing it here, is to kind of think about this in reverse. We talked about what type of business you want to do, how you're going to do it a little bit, but now we want to start to design the why part of it. What's your ultimate goal? What's your mission? An example here is Apple. They communicate their purpose before they start to talk about the financial focus. So it's just an idea of thinking about your why first instead of what you do and how you do it. And Apple, again, just believes in thinking a little differently. So be creative with that. This is the video, again, look by Simon Sinek. Talks about this, how you can see in the diagram. We usually go what, how, and why outside in, and we should think inside out. So it's a quick video. Make sure you watch that. When we get into business job performance design, you need to have clear expectations. So one thing here is you are going to have to design a job description, and the purpose for that is that'll actually be used as your expectations for your job performance. And then a great idea is to actually design goals together instead of you just telling them what those are. That way it can be individualized. The evaluation tool, again, this should be something that is interactive, but it's based off of the job description and then the goals that you did together. And then lastly, you need to provide some feedback. Key idea here is connect this again then to the compensation plan. It's a reward system. So think of finding ways to positive reinforce people versus negatively. When we get into staff training, your internal training, this, for being cost effective, you should look at doing this within your own organization. CPDs that we're doing is an example of internal training. If you're still confused, makes it cost effective. And then this is great transformational leadership. What that is again, is you transfer the power as a leader to the people within the organization. So you kind of flip it. And again, we're trying to do that with our discussions where you bring in new ideas, new research, and ways to use that within the businesses. External training then is where you bring an expert outside of the organization and have them talk about something very specific to that. It's a good way to, again, bring in new ideas like we talked about, adjust your culture. An example of that is when you do your resume, futuristic resume, the presentation is by Matt Ischler, who is from Career Services. Obviously, he's an expert in that. So that's an example of that. Your training evaluation, again, you got to come up with a purpose. So you'll list what you're doing, but you want to list the purpose of it. Again, the why, we come back to that one more time. And these are, again, quality controls are ways to actually measure and assess and evaluate if what you want to have achieved is actually being achieved in your organization. Good thing to do here is start with objectives. And again, objectives are specific strategies or ways to achieve those big goals, okay? Again, then we want to use objective and subjective feedback. So real simple, when you do your training evaluations, there should be some kind of a numbering system and then some written feedback. Again, the example of what we're doing, these are the quizzes that you're doing with the CPDs. You get a grade, a number with it, but I always provide feedback to explain why, more importantly, ways to improve or reinforce the quality things that you're doing. Again, the ultimate goal is just to evolve, and that's the learning of it. So hopefully the combination of the actual program, the why to that, and then evaluation and feedback helps us get there. When we get into compensation, this is where you want to start to think about how can you make this the best place to work. So I'll give a good example here with Digs, Culture, and Give Back. One of my top choices, New Belgium Brewery. It's out in Colorado, just outside of Denver. I love good beer. I love to mountain bike, and I like the mountains and fitness. So what they did there at Belgium Brewery, and I know this not just because of research, because I have a couple friends that actually work there, is Digs location. They have campus volleyball courts. They have their own bike trails, running trails right there on campus. So you can take off at your lunch and go get your workout in right there. Culture. They just create this fun environment. You can see here, they get to have happy hours right there. Okay, and then they have a ride share program, so it's safe. And then lastly, they are committed to the community, and they do that through their actions instead of just what they say, and giving back, as you can see. So a way to think about this is, what do your employees and your staff want? It's not so much what you like, it's what your staff like. And make that connection and considerations when we start to think about health law then too, and benefits. One more idea here is these are just ways to take research from outside the health industry. If you go down to number 7, you can see the USAA, what they do is they match what money you take from your salary. So if you're taking 6% out of your salary for your retirement plan, your 401k, they'll match that to another 6, so you're essentially getting 12%. Great example is here, Penn State. One of the reasons I continue to stay in higher ed is Penn State matches 12%. So I put 12% out. I've got a fourth of my income is going right into my retirement. So smart investing. Last one, best perks. You can go ahead and look in different ways. This is from Outside Magazine. They talked about having fitness plan opportunities. Number 2 was people in the organizations wanted vacations part of their compensation. They, like I said, with the New Belgium Brewery, they wanted to have an office culture that fit their kind of their interest. And then last, flex time policies. Again, if we were taking this class live like I've done normally, we don't meet every day of the week. We actually Fridays turn into flex time where we do online pieces. So last then, Washington Post, they talk about 6 more things that are similar. Travel's a neat one, and finance in there. Last, what you want to do with this information that can be used with your next project is brainstorm why. What's your purpose? Kind of reverse the cycle as we talked. Make sure you watch the Simon Sinek video. It's quick, but it has a good way to explain it. Then you can go to the how and who, and then you can finish up with what, and use these as a guide in your staff to performance. And again, you want to address how often with it, all right? So again, you're going to use this with project 4, and hopefully in the search and share in the discussions, we can steal some more ideas from each other also. Thanks.